Hello everybody! Guess what we're doing today? Today we are roasting some cabbage. This is one of my family's favorite ways to eat cabbage, aside from cabbage soup, which is actually probably their top favorite. But this is so fast and easy, and it is a snack in our house because it does not make it to mealtime. The kids come along and snatch it as they go. So this, guys, this is a lot of fun. It is so simple. So let's get to it, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna roast this cabbage today. Okay, first thing first, guys, I'm gonna apologize for the lighting. I realized I left my ring light somewhere else. So today we are using natural light from the windows and my kitchen lights, which I'm realizing I need to upgrade here at some point. Anyhow, I have 2 heads of cabbage today. And first thing first, I'm gonna run through all of our ingredients, which are gonna be super simple. We're gonna get a couple things prepped and then get to it. So like I said, I am using 2 heads of cabbage. We have got some olive oil. I have got my cookie sheets. We have my cutting board. Guys, I just have some basic acrylic cutting boards that I have used forever, and they probably do need to be replaced, and by that I mean they do, but that'll be a someday thing. I have got, guys, this is one of my favorite knives at this point in time. I don't even know if it says the brand name. Oh, it does on the cover. Guys, I keep this on for safety. The kids all know when they pull out the dishwasher to put it on there. But this is a Tupperware knife. I don't sell Tupperware. The person I used to buy it from, her website's still active, but she really doesn't sell it anymore either. So I like to hit up the craft shows this time of year for that. Anyhow, one of my favorite knives. They're spendy, but worth it. And then some salt and pepper. So, shows you guys everything. That was really 3 ingredients, so, well, 4. The cabbage, the olive oil, and then the salt and pepper. That's what we're gonna work with today. You can use any seasoning you want to. Garlic salt would actually, ooh, I think I'm gonna pull some other seasonings out of the cupboard too, just to make some different flavors on the pan. But garlic salt would be really good. We have got some roasted garlic and herb seasoning, some steak and chop seasoning. Guys, do whatever flavor palette works for you and your household. Some chili powder might be nice. There's gonna be a lot of options for you. That part is totally up to you guys. My word of caution is a little bit goes a long way sometimes. It's always easy to add more. You put on too much, it's a little hard to get back from that. So first thing we're gonna do is I am going to turn my oven on to 350 degrees Fahrenheit because that is just the standard temperature that we tend to cook a lot of things at here. And while that is preheating, we are then going to prep our cabbage. Now, if you watched my recent Brussels sprout video, we are gonna prep this the same way. We are gonna pull the outer leaves off, look for any sort of bug activity or anything like that. And then you guys can look around the base for any sort of activity. The loose leaves, look under it for bug activity. And then before I get to cutting it, I'm gonna show you guys all of that too. So, we'll preheat this and we'll start prepping our cabbage. Okay guys, so I want to show you this. On this cabbage leaf, there is some slicing. This is actually, could be from when it was harvested. It could also be if this froze at some point, that will cause kind of a crack expansion to happen. There's another little crack over here. It could have happened from pressure being put on this as well, especially if it was frozen. That, I'm not too worried about bug activity. This leaf here, I could probably pull it off, but it is pretty firmly on, so we're gonna leave that one on. This is the one thing we do a little bit different than we do with Brussels sprouts. After I check my next head of cabbage, we're gonna come through, if I can show you here, there is some sand down here around the base. We are going to give this a good little rinse, and then we're gonna cut off this stem and kind of go from there. And that's when I survey the bottom of the cabbage a little bit more. Okay, now it's time to rinse them. Okay guys, so now we've got our cabbage rinsed and ready. Got my knife, I'm gonna pull the protective sleeve off. Go ahead and cut off the base of it. So we're getting rid of about that size of a chunk. Leaves a nice little end on the cabbage like that. Then from here, now guys, this is where it is the same as cabbage. This core that you see, this is where a lot of the bitterness is. And this is also really tough even when you're cooking it. So we are going to start by Just cutting this thing in half. Got 2 nice halves right there. Now, this is where I'm gonna do things a little differently than I typically do. Typically, I would then cut these in half, so I'm quartering this head of cabbage. It makes it easier to take the core out. I saw a recipe recently that actually made cabbage steaks. And I thought, you know, that seems kind of fun. But before we get that far, guys, we need to go ahead and prep our cookie sheet. I do have 2 here. I'm only going to use the top one until I know whether or not I need the bottom one, because one of my heads of cabbage is a little bit smaller than we usually get. First thing we're going to do is we're going to drizzle a decent amount of olive oil on this cookie sheet. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can lightly coat your cookie sheet in the olive oil and then use something else to put the oil on top of your cabbage once it's on the sheet. You can use a spray bottle if you've got one of those. You can use, I've used a basting brush before, but today we're going to do something a little different. So I just like to use my fingers, spread that oil around. Okay, now guys, I've got a very healthy, oily swimming pool. By healthy, I mean there's a lot of it. Doesn't mean it's actually healthy for you. Now guys, now that I have this super oiled, we are gonna go ahead and, you know what, I'm kind of chickening out on making the cabbage steaks just because I know how the other stuff cooks. It's not gonna be much different. It's still a lot of fun. So when I cut this, any little bit of core right down there, I'm just gonna hold this at an angle, chop that off. Now a lot of times I'll use my larger cutting board for this, but today I chose a smaller one, partially because of the space I'm working in to try and film this for you guys. So now that I've got all 4 of those cut, here's what we are gonna do. We are gonna, in fact, now that I'm looking at this outer leaf on this one, it got a little beat up at some point. So we're just gonna go ahead and just peel that one off. No harm, no foul, you just pull it off there. Now you can see how this is laying as a wedge. We are just going to go ahead and we're going to slice somewhere between 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. So I'm only getting 3 out of this one. And I just heard my oven beep, so we've got that. Now here, guys, this is why we made an oil swimming pool. We're going to go ahead and lay this down in here, move it around a little bit, and then flip it over. Both sides of my cabbage are now oiled. You're gonna get some loose leaves and stuff, that's okay. Guys, go ahead and pack this in on this cookie sheet. You can leave it loose too, but do know that some of your looser leaves around the edges and stuff, I'm gonna lift this up here for you. Some of these looser leaves that fall down here like this have a higher risk of burning or just getting extra crispy, while the center of this is softening up a little bit. So when you pack it in, it removes some of those little air gaps that allows that to happen. So guys, I'm gonna go through and cut the rest of this head and see whether or not we're gonna need that second sheet. Okay guys, so in the end, I only managed to get 1 head of cabbage on this cookie tray. There's a little bit of gaps and stuff, but there is no way to fit another head of cabbage on this. So I will go ahead, I'm gonna prep the other pan, the other head of cabbage, which is smaller, so it's not gonna take up as much space. I will probably push the pieces together more on the other one. I mean, these are all still pretty together. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one in the oven, like I said, at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll probably check it in about 10 minutes. Sometimes you want to flip it. Sometimes that's actually difficult because these pieces will start to fall apart as everything is cooking and getting softer. So we'll just check it in 10 and we'll go from there. Okay guys, I have got my first pan that is almost done in the oven. It has 2 minutes left. I have my second pan prepped here. As you can see, there is some space at this end because it was a smaller head of cabbage. And I knew that was going to happen anyhow. For anybody who's wondering, like, okay, what happened to the salt and pepper? Guys, you put that on after it is done cooking, because both of them have a tendency, especially with the oil, to burn in the oven if they cook too long. You don't want that. I mean, maybe you're into the blackened spices, and that can be okay, but I don't think these are the ones you want. So when that comes out of the oven, fresh and hot, then we will put both the salt and pepper or whatever other seasonings, which I'm gonna pull out some garlic salt because I decided that would actually be really good. And I just heard my final minute countdown here. So guys, I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna pull this out of the oven and show you guys how awesome it looks and whether or not it needs to go back in longer or if 10 minutes was enough, which I'm pretty sure it's not yet. Waiting for my cabbage, waiting for my cabbage. Okay guys, timer beeped, moment of truth. Let's see if this is ready or not. And that would be a giant no. So it's gonna go back in for 10 more minutes. And we'll see if it's ready at that point. Okay guys, the first pan just came out of the oven, and I brought the camera over here so I can get a closer look for you guys and show you everything. I've got a fork out because what we really want to do, we're going to look at the color of it, but we want to check and see if it's fork tender or not. So that's what we're going to do before we add our seasoning. Okay guys, if you see here, we've got some beautiful golden looking stuff verging on darker brown. On the underside, you're going to find some pieces that are a little more brown. That's because it was sitting in the oil. Now, look at how easy that went in. That is the perfect. You don't want it soggy, but you want to be able to just push a fork. Oop, you didn't even see me do that. You just want to be able to push a fork straight into it. Guys, this cabbage is perfect. Now, I only have one teenager at home at the moment, but her and I agreed a 50-50 mix is going to be best. So we're going to put garlic salt on half of this pan. And then we are going to do regular salt and pepper on the other half. Now guys, while I am super talented at a lot of things, using a pepper grinder one-handed is not one of them, so I gotta set this down. Okay guys, so just like that, that is done. Now I will tell you, total, this took 35 minutes to cook. So my other pan that I'm throwing in, I'm just gonna throw it straight in for 30. I will check it, I'll give it that extra 5 if it needs it, but it does have less on it, so there's that chance. That's why I recommend checking it at 10 and then usually every 10 after that just to see, because also at different elevations it's going to cook at a different rate for you, or depending on your oven. If you're cooking with gas versus electric, all of it matters guys. So that is my tips for you. I really hope that you enjoy this recipe and try it yourself, and if you do, or if this is something you already make and love, let me know in the comment section down below. Guys, in the meantime, I hope that you're having a blessed day. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss everything else coming up next. I'll see you in the next one. Life with teenagers. Before she starts snagging some of the cabbage that's right there, I do want to give you guys, I'm going to pop back in here really quick to give you this heads up, that when you do the oil bath method that I used, your cabbage will be just a bit oilier than it would otherwise. If you use an oil sprayer, or it is probably actually the way to get the least amount on there, a basting brush will kind of be in between. So depending on how much oil you're okay with, this method is the fastest and easiest, partially because we don't have a working sprayer at the moment, but it tastes phenomenal either way. But I wanted to pop back in, tell you guys that, so you can make that decision based on what's going to work best for you. You're just eyeballing the cabbage, aren't you?